A new study commissioned by the town of Pagosa Springs proves that short-term rentals have a minimal impact on long-term rentals and a major impact on our local economy. But first, let's remind ourselves why we live here in beautiful Southwest Colorado. All right, we live in an incredible place, but let's get into the data. First, some background. The town of Pagosa Springs was put in a tough spot months ago when a local blogger who's known for negative coverage of our town, government, and local businesses petitioned the town to force a vote on an ordinance he wrote that would enact steep fees of $150 per bedroom per month on local STRs.
That doesn't make sense.
Now, the town council knew this was a poorly worded ordinance that would lead to a lawsuit. They were against it, but they were forced to adopt it when the town actually passed it by only 9 votes with very low turnout. And it turns out the town was right. They were sued, and everything is pointing towards the judge overturning this ordinance. So the town most likely will lose, which again, this is what happens when a citizen writes his own ordinance.
If you vote for me, all of your wildest dreams will come true.
But before the lawsuit, the town commissioned a nexus study. This is what is normally done before big policy changes to gather actual data to help determine correct policy. But because this ordinance was manipulated and forced through without going through the normal process, the town had to act fast. So they commissioned this study, and now we have actual data to look at on how STR impacts long-term rentals and our local economy. According to Root Policy Research, not to be confused with Root House, there's 124 active rentals in the town limits of Pagosa Springs. These 124 rentals generate $9.27 million in economic input within town limits and create 175 jobs. To put it another way, one STR creates $75,000 in economic activity and 1.4 jobs. That's about 20 grand more than what the median household here makes. Absolutely remarkable. But what about the county as a whole? They weren't included in this study. They didn't want to participate in it. So I decided to take the data here and apply these numbers to every rental in the county. And the county has bigger homes. In fact, they average 2.3 bedrooms per rental, whereas town only has 2.1. So the average STR in Archuleta now brings in $82,000 a year. Apply that to the 1,250 STRs, and we're looking at over $100 million that STRs contribute to our local economy while providing 1,760 jobs for our locals. It's absolutely clear from this report how vital STRs to our local businesses and workforce, and this is now confirmed by a real study that the town paid a lot of money for. And any attempts to limit or take away these STR permits will 100% harm our local economy and cause locals to lose their jobs. But that does leave us with a huge question. If STRs are what drives our local economy, then what about workforce housing? Do STRs really take away from our long-term rental inventory? And that's what this study really set out to find. And the answers aren't that surprising because we've long expressed that very few STRs will convert to LTRs if we take away their permits. Root Policy had a model that examined the nation, Colorado itself, and Colorado tourist towns, and they found that up to 15.8 units were lost per 100 STRs. If you take out the owner stock, it's up to 9.2 units lost per 100 STRs. Digging further into the numbers, Root stated that a doubling in the number of STRs can decrease the rental stock by as little as 2.1% and as much as 2.9%. And as a whole, we're only losing 3 more units than Colorado and only 6 more than the nation. So the effect of STRs on LTRs and even home values is truly minimal. That's now a fact. But in order to have a growing and thriving economy, we still need to find a way to provide workforce housing, which brings in the other part of the study, which was to also help determine what kind of fees should be charged to STRs to offset their impacts to our economy, including the additional jobs created. And Root Research came up with an impact of $2,687 a year, which is over $1,000 less than the current fees that were forced upon the town. But here's the problem. Every STR is different. Create fees too high, and those STRs could turn into vacant vacation homes, which hurts the local economy. So instead of a monthly impact fee, let's raise the lodger's tax. This is fair and equitable since this tax is paid by how often the STR is rented out rather than for just existing. And it's the tourist who's paying this fee, not the owner. And the tax is able to fluctuate with the volume of STRs. If more nights are rented out, we get more money. If less nights are rented out, we get less. It's just fair. So how high would that tax need to be to cover Root's impact fee? Basically, an extra $14 per rental night. And no tourist is going to turn down $14 a night when Pagosa already has one of the lowest rates for a Colorado ski town. The average daily rate for Pagosa is $230, but Durango is $273. Breck is $379. Do I even dare what Telluride, Aspen, Crest Butte, and Vail are? Even after the increased tax, we're still the cheapest. And I bring this up because tourists are coming. There's no stopping this. And thank God they are coming, because the money they spend here allows us to live this amazing life every day here in the mountains of Southwest Colorado. Now I get it. There's a lot of frustrations out there involved with STRs. They can present some problems, but this data shows that STRs are not the enemy. And if done right, they're a tool to provide economic prosperity for Pagosa Springs and Archuleta County. We can then use these funds to incentivize developers and build workforce housing and help provide solutions to our growing pains while supporting our local businesses. Now, I understand there's different philosophies in the role of government and if the government should even provide any housing in the first place. But the economy is changing. Pagosa is changing and housing is out of reach for the middle class now, not just in Pagosa, but across the United States. So let's come together and find solutions rather than petitioning the government and forcing unrealistic fees upon our town, which contributes to a negative reputation while wasting taxpayer dollars. All right, I think I've talked long enough. If you have any questions, please hit me up. And whenever you see me around town, please do introduce yourself. I love meeting the locals here and hearing your stories of why you came here and why you chose Pagosa Springs. Thanks for watching, and cheers, Pagosa.